and we're building a boat by the river.
We're in southern Tasmania and we've been building our boat Tarkine in the background for the last 2.5 years. Yep.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in the world. I am putting together a video because my shoulder's not healed yet and I still have to take it easy. Ifka's gone to work for a month at a festival, Dark Mofo in Tasmania. So she'll be working there in the build-up crew, helping build stuff, running the sites with all the crew up there. So for the next month or so, we're taking it easy. I'm just going to lay back and sort of work on videos, and If's going to hopefully bring home some money to keep going for another couple of months. We'll see how we go. We've had a few comments from people that are curious how Tarkine started. You've noticed we've started our channel quite late on because, well, we just didn't get it together in time. We got too excited. But there's a lot that happened before we started filming that people may find interesting. We didn't record anything along the way, so you'll have to bear with me as these will be photos. I can explain the photos as we go along and you can sort of get an understanding of how we got the hull constructed and the frames and how we built her up to the point that we got to when we started this channel. It's kind of interesting. We were very much in the deep end by then. That was pretty scary to just start building a boat with not much experience, just books and a bit of, I don't know, a bit of talking to various people that had built strip plank boats before, out of hardwood particularly. There's a couple of boats around southern Tasmania that were built that way. So we just reached out and talked to as many people as we could before we got started. So to fill you in, Tarkine is 41 foot, strip planked, diagonal, fiberglass, inside and out, with laminated frames. She has a laminated backbone also, and a lot of this building we work with laminations because you can take advantage of timber that you may not usually be able to use, especially with strip planking. Our strips were 30 by 25, 26 mil or so. And that was the thickness that we ran for. By having that thickness, you could find smaller planks and use it to your advantage instead of having to cut the shape of the plank out traditionally, which can often cause quite a bit of wastage, but that's personal preference for building boats like that. So we started with a lofting table, a very large lofting table. I think it was 16 metres. We lofted full size. We used flooring and painted it. The loft table was elevated 900, so almost a metre off the ground to stop Obi, our puppy, to get up there because he'd make the floor dirty. It's a big concern keeping your floor quite clean. It's, you know, you're working very accurately and you need to be able to see all your marks. So we built an elevated loft floor and we lofted full size. All the backbone, the rudder, the keel, stern posts, transoms and the moulds. So the moulds were made out of MDF and they were built up from the loft floor. So we'd loft our lines out and we'd transfer those lines onto moulds, bring them up and set them up on the backbone. The very first thing we did was actually make the backbone and lifted her off the ground so that we could always get the lead underneath and not have to move the boat. So we laminated up a massive backbone and propped it, got it all true and square and straight. And then we were able to start putting the moulds up. Most of them were okay with the two of us lifting. They were fairly heavy at times, but we managed to get them up and in place. And then you square your moulds off, you true them up vertically as well with levels to make sure that everything's square and you're not building a boat that's sort of out of whack, you know, out of plumb and she's fair. It was meant to be with laminated frames, but we decided to go for moulds because then we could run ribands, so thinner bits of wood around the hull, and see the shape of the hull and see how fair she is. As novices, this was an easier way for us to see how the boat looks. So we made the moulds, we ran ribbands around the whole hull, all the way up. We had the shear line marked, everything like that. And then once the ribbands were on, we were able to start laminating frames on the inside of the ribbands. We used epoxy and laminations to laminate up our frames. They were laminated to the ribbands, but there was tape there, so we were able to take the frames out and then put them through the thicknesser, clean them up, square them up, and then they go straight back in to the size they are. Once we had a laminated frame in, we were able to drop a floor timber in and bolt that in, so then that connects the keel, the frames and the floor together, which goes down to the lead, and that keeps it very strong. Planking Tarkine took us, for the fore and aft, took us, I don't know, a couple of months or so, the two of us. Well, the most time consuming was machining and preparing timber and scarfing and preparing the longer lengths that you need. She was fastened to the laminated frames because they were already in place. We removed the ribbands as we planked up. So each time we got a bit further, we removed a few more ribbands to keep the shape and keep her in position. And we would bronze screw into the frames, into the laminated frames, and edge nail with bronze nails down. So that creates a really strong hull. And it's also, there was epoxy obviously in between the seams of the planks, so it becomes this incredibly strong structure. So we worked planking up for a couple of months, and that was, you know, quite a push, quite an effort, but we got there and it was very rewarding to watch the hull grow as she comes up and as you plank further up the hull. And then once we'd planked up, we had a chance, I had a birthday party, and I got my mates down for the first time to help out and remove the moulds. And we did that in a couple of hours. It was a great feeling to pop all the moulds out, remove them from the hull, and just have this massive, wide, open, beautiful shape of a boat to look at. And then you think, well, what now? Where do we start? So we cleaned up the hull, obviously, and then we started with the beam shelf and deck beams, because that was sort of to get an idea of the cabin space and the skylights and the hatches, and to work out where the interior fit out would go. We didn't follow the design for the fit out, we followed our own design for where we wanted cabins and where we wanted all our lounge and the galley and the heads, chain locket, you know, it was all more specific for us and how we wanted to use Tarkine as a cruising boat with us two and potentially another couple and one more. So 5 people max on board at any one time. So yeah, we did the deck beams and the beam shelf, slowly tinkered away with that, and then it was bulkheads and matching bulkheads and working out where you want to put a bulkhead in, and we did a lot of dry fitting and mock-ups with brace ply, just putting them in certain spots and getting a feel for the space and working around until we had sort of what we knew what we were doing with that, and then we could set in stone our deck beams and all that sort of stuff. I'd just really like to thank our patrons and viewers. You guys are doing amazing. Your feedback's awesome. We really enjoy it. Seeing the comments roll in with all different stuff. A lot of great advice that we've taken on, and it's really good to, you know, have some outside perspective of how we could do things and what we could change to make life easier and better, or just on products and that sort of stuff. So you guys are doing a great job in keeping us going. We're going to keep pushing on with this channel for a while longer and just see how the ball rolls and how we fare with it. For now, it's becoming a good sort of documentation of the build also for us and for our friends and family overseas, and obviously for you, the viewers, that I hope one day someone's going to watch these videos and think, yeah, I can do this. It's my time. I'm going to build a boat. And if you build a strip plank boat, at least you'll have a bit of advice along the way and what not to do and maybe what to do. So thank you all for viewing, liking, subscribing and getting involved. It's much appreciated.
Good. That's all. That's all. Solid.
those concerned, they are the world's bluntest planer blades. That's my sacrificial plane. What it wants to look like. Tricky to see, but you know, it's a big propeller. Look, bigger than my head. Might work how expected.
Finish what you started.
Survive. There's your sweet love. Oh, baby. Don't leave me this way.